Welcome everybody, my name is Ryan and this is Vintage Story. In today's video, we're going to cover some of the details for my upcoming prehistoric series. That's right, I'm very excited for that. And we're also going to be doing the world generation for that world too. So the reason I wanted to do it separately is because it's going to be mainly done on live streams. And this Saturday, April 26th at noon Central, we're going to be starting our very first one. And I didn't want to have to sit there and go through world generation and then wait for it to load up, because it's going to be a very heavily modded series too. So this way on Saturday we'll be able to jump right into the action and have some fun. So I hope you'll be able to make it, but don't worry, for this series, like I said, it's going to be done via live streams, but I will upload every one of those videos after we've gone live to YouTube, so you don't have to miss any of it. You know, if you're not a Twitch viewer, I understand that too. I'll also be switching it up occasionally and streaming over here on YouTube. But if you're a fan of my regular Let's Play series, the Twin Peaks series, where we're doing the story content and making steel, don't worry, that series is going to continue as normal with the pre-recorded, edited videos every other day, so don't sweat it. In fact, we're in the midst of preparing for some of the story content, but enough talk about that series. Let's stay focused on the prehistoric one. So as I mentioned, very heavily modded, and once again, down in the description, all those mods if you're curious about which ones. Also, the world seed will be down there, so if you like the looks of where we start here, yeah, you can play on the same map with the same setup. Okay, and now with all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the world generation for this one. There's going to be some mods which will affect this a bit, but don't worry, I'll call those out as we go through it. So first things first, we do want a new world, and we're going to go with the Homo sapiens world here. That's right, so if you're unfamiliar, it basically removes the story content. There won't be drifters. It's just like focused on wilderness survival. And of course, I felt that was a really good kind of backdrop for prehistoric, dinosaur, because we could just focus on the wildlife and stuff. So we're going to click that, but then we're going to customize the world. So now you can see it's got all the default settings for Homo sapiens, but we're going to tweak them a little bit. Now, there are some big changes I'm going to make, and the first one is the random respawn radius here. I'm going all the way down to 25 blocks. Now, keep in mind, in a Homo sapiens run, there is no map. There's no mini-map. You can't put markers or anything like that. So that's partly for this, but also I don't see much difficulty. That the challenge in dying and finding your corpse is not really what I'm interested in at this run. The challenges in survival in the wilderness, but we're also going to limit our lives. That's right. Instead of doing infinite, we're going to go with only 20 lives in this run. That's right. So once my 20th death, the series is over. But don't worry, I will have plenty of vintage story content always on the channel. But I think this way it's going to give it a bit more, excitement, hopefully, and suspense, especially once that death counter gets up real high. But okay, so everything else here is pretty good. Oh yes, and I'm playing with what's called the player corpse mod, which means instead of our items just dropping and hovering, we drop a corpse, a skeleton, and that basically makes this irrelevant. So we could set it to an hour, it doesn't matter. Our corpse doesn't disappear. I really like that mod. Okay, but everything else here is going to be the same. Yeah. Okay, so on to the next tab, survival challenges. Yeah, another few changes here. I've started to get used to 12 days per season, so we're going to go with that. True winters are fine. This I'm changing from soil instability to just sand and gravel. I'm not a big fan of the soil instability. Alright, cave-ins, I'm going to enable those. Yeah, so kind of to make up for lack of soil instability, we will now have cave-ins. And I've dealt with them before, so we shouldn't be too bad. Fire from lightning, yes, that's realistic. Underground farming, I don't really think we'll be doing that. Now, there's a couple mods I have that is going to help us survive a bit better in a world with dinosaurs and saber-toothed cats and all kinds of crazy stuff. So One of those is the firearms mod. Obviously, I think having firearms is going to be a good balance. Of course, we'll have to build them, but there's also the X skills mod, which is one I've not played with before. So that's just going to help us develop skills, but otherwise, I think we'll beef our health up too a little bit. 25, it's probably not going to help us survive against the big dinosaurs, but hopefully this will prevent me from getting killed by a boar or something in the first day. But health regen, that's all fine. Lung capacity, I'm putting that to 2 minutes because, I mean, quite honestly, I think that's more realistic. I mean, I can hold my breath for 2 minutes, certainly. And I don't know anybody who can't do it for 10 seconds. Even little babies can hold their breath for that long. Come on. Okay, everything else is good here. Yep, we're still going to be very challenged. Definitely. Okay, so a couple things down here. Obviously, coordinate overlay, no. I'm going to set micro block chiseling to most cubic blocks. This is just so for my own personal artistic side, I can chisel whatever I want. Although I don't anticipate a lot of chiseling, maybe we will. It can help in certain instances. All right, I'm also going to enable the ProPic node search. So this refers to the short range, which is turned off in Homo sapiens. You could still do like long range, or maybe you can't. Not without a map. Either way, let's go for a 4 block. Yeah, still fairly limited. And color accurate world map. I'm going to turn that on, believe it or not. And that is because one of the mods I have will eventually allow us to discover and craft the map, a compass, a sextant. So eventually we'll be able to navigate in the world by using more than just dead reckoning, you know, our eyesight essentially. But we're going to have to earn it. And once we do get to that, I just want to be able to see the color accurate map. I prefer it over the normal way. But yeah, otherwise no lore content, not in Homo sapiens. Yeah, and I think we're good. Let me just go over this one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, we're looking good. Temporal stability, we just completely ignore this. This is turned off, so we won't have to worry about that in our world. And over here, world gen, definitely a couple things we're going to check off, but let's go to multiplayer first, and I'm just going to turn all those things off, essentially. Now we'll have access to all the class recipes. But world gen, back to this one, land cover. This I gave a lot of thought to. Without a map early on, it's nearly impossible to like sail, unless you're just going to an island you can see and returning. But eventually I will want to interact with, think a bit with the ocean. So let's go 70% land cover, which will give us 30% of the world as ocean. And that'll be helpful. Everything other than that looks good, except for, I think I want the world size, yeah, to be brought down a bit. So instead of world width and length at 1 million, I'm going to scale that down to 256K. Yeah, it just makes traversing long distance, like if we want to get to the equator or to one of the poles, it's not going to take hours and hours of real life time to do that. Okay, and otherwise we're not going to touch anything else, I think. Oh boy, we're getting close, people. I'm nervous, but I'm also very excited. So I think we're all set with our world. The next step is to name it. Obviously, we're going to apply that. And like I said, this Saturday at noon Central Time, April 26th. Be there, guys. If you're late by a few minutes, don't worry. We're going to be streaming for a long time. And of course, we're going to be doing it on a regular weekly basis, probably multiple times a week, but definitely every weekend we'll be jumping into the prehistory, playing around with some dinosaurs, and hopefully those 20 lives that we've got allocated will last a fair bit. But I'm really excited to see you guys there, so make sure you follow. All the helpful stuff is down in the description of this video, and I will see you guys soon.